Welcome everybody to the Cast from the Coast. My name is Adam Miles and I'm joined as always by Josh Lambert, Aaron Peerless, and Tim Johnson. What are we talking about tonight, Tim?
A movie from 2018 called Butterfly Kisses.
Stay tuned. Tim, can we have the synopsis, please?
Since you asked so nicely, yes. Yes, you can.
All right.
A filmmaker discovers a box of videotapes depicting two students' disturbing film project featuring local horror legend, the Peeping Tom. As he sets out to prove the story is real and release it as work of his own, he loses himself and the film crew following him into this project.
Okay.
Ooh.
So,
Did
before
I
we
do
go any
good?
further, you did good. You did good. So before I go any further, I got to give everybody a little bit of a heads up as to what's going on here for anybody tuning in. So the director Eric Christopher Myers reached out to us and basically said, with everything going on with the pandemic, his movie's kind of having a resurgence in popularity. It's available on like Amazon Prime and all kinds of different places, and it's available for rent. And he was just kind of reaching out to some places to see if anybody wanted to take a gander at the movie, give their opinions and everything else. I have to give this guy a hats off, and I friended him on Facebook. He's a really nice guy. I basically, before any of that happened, I said, okay, stipulation. If we don't like the movie, you're going to know. Like, I'm not going to be, we're not going to be nice just for the sake of being nice. And he said,
I believe I asked that question. I was like, do we have to, like, if we don't like it, like, does he want us to be honest? Because I don't want to be a shill, right? Like, we're a little
yeah.
YouTube channel. Like, I'm not shilling out to the man. Like, I'm not getting any money. Like, it's
Yeah, it's
a
a good movie, man!
much different story like this. But, yeah, no, that was one of my concerns was if we're doing this, can we do this honestly?
Yeah. And he was absolutely 100%. In fact, he expected nothing less. He basically said, that's what I expect, he said. And he believed 100%. And this goes to show you what he's like. He stands behind the movie. He said, I believe and I stand behind the merit of this movie. So go for it. Rip it. I said, fair. So I brought it to the table. Everybody said, let's do it. It's been a little bit late coming. I do apologize, folks. We've had some schedule conflicts, and we had a whole run series that we just finished that we had to get through first anyway because we had interview with Felissa, and we had Becky that we were doing, and we did all the sleepaway camp movies and everything else. So, yeah, unfortunately, it did take a little while to get to this, and we do apologize. However, here we are. So by the time that you see this, you'll have known our official thoughts on this. So, talk about the story a little bit here. I don't want to get too deep into the characters because really the characters in this movie I found were a way of just passing the story itself. The main character really is who they're looking for, Mr. Peeping Tom, basically, right? He's the man of legend is really what it is. So I don't really want to spend a lot of time on the characters because this is one of those movies where I feel that it was kind of everybody can technically be a throwaway. It's all about advancing the story. So let's talk about the story itself here a little bit more in depth. So when I first heard about this movie, the first thing that found footage. You know what I mean? Like there's everybody with a camera nowadays can make a found footage film, but it's still an extremely popular genre. There's entire groups on Facebook and internet forums that are still dedicated to just people who love found footage films and the simplicity of them. Whether you like them or not, there's thousands for every person who doesn't like it. There's thousands who do.
So this movie gets labeled as a found footage film, and I hate that fucking genre so much. This movie, I don't think is so much found footage as more it is a pseudo documentary. So like the vampire one we just watched, what was that? Within the Shadow, or
What we do in the shadows.
What we
yeah,
do.
right. So that's the kind of film that I feel this is. It's more of like a fake documentary about a film artist who finds a found footage and makes a found footage movie.
See, but I feel that it's yes. Let me. I don't have a lot to say this episode, so let me
Okay.
have my moment. I feel that found footage gets a bad rap.
Yeah.
I feel that in the hands of creative individuals, any style of movie can be amazing. There's amazing found footage movies,
Mm-hmm.
amazing, and it doesn't matter that they're found footage. It's the idea, it's the access point, and I like that they are easily accessible. You don't need a studio to fucking make a found footage. Anybody can do it. It's just because everybody's doing it now, and when everybody does it, not everybody is as creative as some other individuals. Like, I think The Blair Witch is an amazing movie, but do I feel the same over what's the other big one? Big one. Help me out.
Blair Witch is what comes to mind for
No,
me.
not Blair Witch. The other one. They made like so many sequels.
Oh, Paranormal Activity, maybe?
Thank you. Paranormal Activity. The first one was okay the first time you watch it, but all this unnecessary sequels and like that kind of shit. And then I don't know how many alien found footage movies I watched with all the same ending. So
Yeah.
I get that, but I don't feel all of them are bad.
No, fair enough. Found footage definitely has its place. One of my favorite found footage movies is still one of my top. I'd even say 20 movies of all time. Is Wreck.
Yeah, that movie's dope.
Dope as
And
shit.
the American remake is just as dope.
Unnecessary, but sure.
Quarantine was great.
It was unnecessary, but
You're
sure.
unnecessary, Adam.
Shut up, Tim.
Quarantine
All right.
was a faithful adaptation of the original material. They didn't change really anything.
Unnecessary, but okay.
You're unnecessary. Anyway, go on.
All right, sure. So found footage, love it, hate it, doesn't really matter. There's an abundance, and when you load up something like Amazon Prime or Netflix, every week they're adding found footage films because these people make them and they want them out there, and they get out there and they get paid for it, and it's cheap to produce, so they do it.
Horror movies in general have always been that, right? Like when you look in like what was produced in the 70s and 80s, it's because it was cheap. You could make a star slasher movie and barely spend anything, right? And now we're in the age where a camera that can get HD quality, it's a few $100. Anybody can have them, right? So you grab that, you make a found footage movie. That's the new slasher when you look at the entry level to
Yeah.
uh, filmmaking.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So with this movie, the one thing that I really do like about my favorite portion of found footage films, that aside from like the obvious wreck that I love, is something like what Blair Witch originally did. I love the idea of lore coming to life in a found footage film. That genuinely is the best part of found footage to me. There was that one that Tim put us on to, Gojine, the Asylum, or whatever it was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was really good too. But that was, once again, it's a story about lore, and
Yeah.
in a story that comes to life when people encounter it, grave encounters, stuff like that. Like,
Yeah,
I
Grave
like
Encounters. Amazing
exactly.
found footage film that we're gonna make Josh watch at some point.
That's right. But I
It's
like
fucking dope.
I
It's
like the
so
idea.
good. I love it.
It is good, but I like the idea of a backstory that
Yeah.
comes to life. Somebody finds out it's the truth, and it comes to life, and that's a very big part of this movie here.
Absolutely.
They find you hear about the story about the peeping tom, the peeping tom, and if you stare down the train tunnel without blinking your eyes for a set period of time, he basically appears to you, and that's like the end of it. Regardless of how you feel, like, I was kind of a little bit torn about what it actually takes to get him to appear, because I'm like, that just really seems humanly impossible. But it was a good twist on the story because, well, just use the camera. The camera is an eye, and it's just continuously filming. And then
Yep.
no longer is the person themselves cursed. It technically becomes the camera that's cursed. So every time they now use the camera, Peeping Tom gets closer and closer and closer, and they see him, and he's coming for them. And I thought that was actually a really good way to spin it. So it was a very interesting method that they had to tell something that would be kind of like almost like a ridiculous lore. One of those anybody can laugh it off. Like nobody's going to be able to stare down a train tunnel for that long and be able, and they even proved they had like the world's like the world record holder for like staring contests try, and like he failed really miserably, right? So it was like, okay,
I got another
just
point
use
to
camera.
add to that though.
Go ahead.
You're in the wintertime, you can see their breath and everything. Have you guys tried to hold your eyeballs open during the dead of cold? Like
That sucks.
you can't. Like it needs to be warm and humid out in order to be like. But when you got that cold, crisp air biting at your eyeballs, your lookers, man, I'm telling you, you're blinking. I don't care.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason why it once again makes the lore pseudo ridiculous, like a lot of lore that's out there, right? And it's like, nah, that's
So
not
the
going to be possible.
current
You can do
world record for staring
You looked
contests
it up.
without assistance of holding your eyes open is 41 minutes. I think
Frick
with holding the eyes
off.
open, you could definitely hit an hour. If the world record is currently 41 minutes unassisted, if you hooked up like a fucking Clockwork Orange,
Yeah, I was
machine,
just about to
you
say
could
Clockwork
definitely hit
Orange the hell out of it, right?
Yeah.
Blink, blink, blink. You know, with the you know fluid for the eyes.
40 minutes, 59 seconds.
Wow.
It's impressive. Okay, I stand corrected. That could very well be possible. So, okay. All right. So what we have is, you know, as the synopsis suggested, was that the guy basically gets a phone call that somebody found these tapes, and they start going through them, and they find the remnants of the original story by the two filmmakers that were doing this for like a project. And the deeper that he gets into the tapes, and he starts to review and find pieces to this puzzle, and he's trying to figure out what happened to them. But it becomes even more weird because he starts to try to locate people that were in the actual footage, and has some difficulty in some cases. So there's a lot that's like, you know, he's starting to question the authenticity of certain people that are in the story and certain things that are being seen. And we have, you know, an ultimate climax where, you know, shit happens to whoever's involved at that case. So, but that being said, I'd like to really hear what Josh has to say about this movie. Let's just jump right into Josh's notes.
Well, before we do the notes, I did just want to comment on. I like how they set it up that it's kind of like the town is keeping a secret. Because I don't know if you guys got this vibe, but I definitely did. That when they're starting to look for people, and when he talks, one guy that actually was in it, there's a lot of things that they're not saying, and I feel like it's kind of like the old Freddy Krueger situation where the town knows and they kind of just brush it under the rug.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, thinking back on it, I can see that. I can definitely see that, because when you're looking at the footage that the original two filmmakers were doing, everybody was talking about it. Like, they'd get people randomly off the street. Yeah, I know that story, and everybody's willing to talk about it. But the moment that this guy starts coming around, people are more shut in on it. Like they're just like, yeah, I don't want to talk to your
I
ass.
love how the whole movie you're not sure what's real. You don't know if the two filmmakers are faking it, and it's just like a horror movie school project kind of thing, and that's why they can't find any of these people because they're just actors. You don't know if the man who found the tapes faked it, and he's just faking it to kind of get some clout as a filmmaker and make his first kind of big boom.
Yeah,
I liked it. It was layered.
it was layered.
Layers.
It was
Layered.
layered. It has layers.
Layers.
Okay.
All right, Josh's notes time.
So this is my first viewing of a film called Butterfly Kisses, watched July 19th, 2020 at 3:43 p.m. My first note was, wow, this is a full-length film. My understanding is this was an indie film with essentially no budget, and the fact that they made an entire hour and a half blows my mind.
Good
I
call.
agree. I agree. Yep.
Yep.
So next note was it's a pseudo doc. I like that. I was really worried it was just going to be a found footage with no kind of overarching story, which is great. Isn't that how all horror movies start? Quote. Nice fourth wall break there, buddy. I like the little dig that the mom didn't understand the technology and was like trying to give these old fucking DVR tapes to her son that films videos for weddings and stuff.
Yep.
I love all the rough artwork they're using to showcase the monster. So in the background, they have all this artwork. It was very like Babadook inspired, very Slenderman inspired.
Yep.
I have to say, honestly, at this point, I'm pretty impressed. I hate found footage films in general, which is what I thought this was going to be. Quote, I am a real filmmaker. We aren't making horror movies here. Quote. Again, what a good dig at himself. That's great. These ghost hunters in the auditorium are a bunch of Karens. They're the worst. The worst.
That was hilarious. Yeah.
I said, oh man, I hope the twist isn't that Gavin made this all up. I really hope that's not where this is going. Okay. What's up with the zero that's on the top of the box? So do you guys know what I mean? Like the zero with the line through it?
Yeah.
So it's throughout the film. I think you said it was on the poster too.
It is. Yeah. It's on the poster.
So my only thing that I thought maybe it was, it's supposed to represent like the tunnel is the circle and then the line through it is the blinky man. But it was never really explained, I don't think.
That's a good thought. My theory was, because it's not like it was a straight down thing, it was kind of off a little bit.
Yeah.
My thought was that that's usually how you write zero for computer language. It's an O with a slash through it. So my thought would be like that's 0 seconds, like when this is complete.
Okay.
Something's going to happen at completion. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And it just kept popping up into my head when I was watching this, because I was like, so when this guy gets the end of these tapes, something's going to happen.
It's 0, 0.
0,
yeah.
0. You know what I mean?
Okay.
That's how I pictured it.
Yeah. I'm not buying this expert. To the point where he's talking to like the expert that wrote like the weird Maryland books.
Yeah.
He was definitely lying, which makes me think this is like a Freddy Krueger situation where the town's hiding something. These ghost guys are absolutely roasting Gavin. So these Karens are just in here and they're just tearing him apart. And it's like, man, you guys believe in fucking the Ogopogie and Bigfoot and all this stuff. Like, leave poor Gavin and the Blinky Man alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty weird.
Gavin spent his son's son's college fund. Yikes.
Shitty.
The sweat stains on his shirt really sell that Gavin's fucking disheveled at this time. Like, he's been sitting in a motel room for a couple weeks. He's just covered in, like, grody sweat. That jump scare got me. They threw an old jump scare in there and got me.
I will tell you. Let me say that for a second there. That is one of the only jump scares in any type of footage film, anything like this, that has pretty much got me. And I admit, it's almost like the way that he filmed it, I was lulled into a sense of something else. Yeah. And I was just like, I was not expecting. I was just like, okay, something, and just boom. And I was like, okay. Admittedly, you got me, Eric.
Me too.
Was that the Feldman jump scream? Like when Feldman's sitting in front of the...
Yeah, and you got the mirror and shit?
Yeah, and it comes right up just like...
Yeah, like right in front of you.
Yeah, I agree. That made me jump back too.
Yeah, good job, Eric. You got us with that one, I gotta admit.
Quote, Gavin has been missing for 9 days. Huh.
If you think he was disheveled and stinks before.
Yeah.
Right?
They would have walked into that hotel.
The audio guy.
Yeah. They would have walked in there and known he was gone for
Yeah.
9 days.
That was going to be one of my only real
yeah.
downs about what I've seen in that part of the movie. I was like, okay, interesting way to end it, but I'm thinking to myself, the moment that they walked in, it wouldn't have taken 5 minutes of walking around looking for shit. It would have been like somebody would have complained that there was a smell coming from that motel room.
Yeah.
And the moment they open up the door, people would have been puking.
Yeah. Easily.
Yeah.
Easily.
This audio guy is vaping, but this was filmed in like 2016, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Vapes weren't around back then, were they?
Yeah, they were. Yeah, they were.
I said, oh my god, she's gonna cut her eyes out.
So
What
that
an ending.
So that she doesn't see the peeping Tom, the Blinky Man.
Couldn't you just close your eyes?
Forever?
It's not a blink. Well, it's better than cutting them out. It's not a blink if you don't open them back up.
You wouldn't have any problems, Josh.
Just keep your eyes closed.
Just squint.
The
The
Blinky
Blinky Man wouldn't even know.
The
The
Blinky
Blinky Man wouldn't even know if I'm blinking.
Exactly.
That's right.
And those are my notes.
Nicely
Um,
done.
I didn't know what a butterfly kisses was either, so I'm glad that they explained it in the movie.
Okay.
Did you?
I did.
I didn't know what I gotta admit I didn't know what it was, and to this point I think I might have even kind of like I forget what did they explain it as, because I gotta tell you that's like a very big part of it's the title of the movie.
So it's
So when you blink,
like if you got a little blurs in the belly or whatever. I guess another thing is you like flicker your eye with a butterfly kiss, and apparently it's a real thing. I looked it up. Like he didn't make it up for the film.
I do it
Okay,
to Jamie
that's
all the
cool.
time. I go right up to her cheek and I go butterfly kisses, and I blinking on her cheek.
Hey, that's the name of the movie.
Yeah, isn't that wild?
Yeah. No, I gotta admit there was like I must have like glazed over that. Like now that you say it, I'm like, yeah, okay, I remember that. But I'm like, I must not have correlated it and put two and two together as to what the fuck they were talking about at that point. So
Because that's why it is. Because the Blinky Man apparently has these giant eyelashes, and that's
Yeah.
he blinks on you to make you blink. He
Oh.
gets giant eyelashes on you.
there you go. There you go.
Hello, everybody. I am Fabio Frizzi, and you are listening to Daycast from the Coast.
Aaron,
Yeah.
let's talk about some of the effects work.
Well, there's not really much to talk about here with this one. They do a lot of cut shots, a lot of things like that, a lot of digital add-ons. You barely see, kind of what's going on, found footage, kind of deals. So they don't really spend a lot of time on what you're seeing. But I do have a couple points that I wrote down that I think made. One of them was I mentioned earlier was with, if it's that cold out, you're gonna blink, man. I mean, you saw their breath and everything, and it's hard to keep your eyes open when it's that cold, right? I didn't mind the acting. Some of it, like the opening sequence with the girl sitting at her desk there. I thought, oh no, please, and I had to look at the running time, and I'm like, an hour and a half. Oh no, please. So I let it go, and I was like, okay, it's getting a little better here now. So I'm glad I gave it a little bit of a chance on that behalf. And the acting actually wasn't too bad in it, but to start out is a little rough. There's a part where what's his face? Gavin is sitting at a bar table, and he takes a drink of beer, I think it is, but he dips his finger in there and he pulls a bug out or something, and then he gets rid of it and then takes another sip of his beer. I was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Meat group.
Weird.
Right?
That was a real bug, by the way. No effects work. That was a real bug.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. It just must have been. Take a fly off the
I
windowsill,
thought that
throw
it
in
was.
there.
I thought that the jump scare was awesome with Feldman there. That got me. The sound effects with the little digital blip between, before they started recording. I thought that was really cool how they incorporated the Morse code into that, and then they slowed it down and kind of widened it out, and then they figured out that it said blink,
Blink.
in Morse code, right? I thought that was pretty in depth for them to get that scene going, and they're like, it spells blink, right? Like,
I mean,
cool.
yeah, they did put a lot of thought into the writing on this.
Right.
Like there is a whole lore here that he wrote out. That's interesting.
So I thought that was very ingenious, actually, for that part of it. The flash of Gavin in the tub, I thought it was okay, but I'm thinking that it was all digitally done. It was a pretty quick flash of him curled up in the tub there or whatever. And again, going back to it, you would definitely smell that walking in there. I don't care how tight that bathroom door was closed. You are going to smell that.
Yeah.
Right.
It permeates the walls at that point.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's just very minimal effects. There's really not a lot to report in this. All the straight makeup was really good. Like, it was consistent pretty much all the way through. I watched past a few of the credits and thought that the little end section at the end was it kind of put my creep factor up a little bit more. I'm glad I saw that at the very end. So
what did you see, Aaron?
Did you watch? You didn't stay and watch the rest of the...
No, we've had this argument, and I've been shit on before for not doing it, so,
It has you right. Don't tell him, Aaron.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Don't tell him, Aaron.
Let me just say, it has the girl with the eyes that she plucked out, but it's really grainy, and the way that her sockets are kind of moving around, and it kind of zooms in and it gets really grainy, and it's really creepy looking. It's very creepy looking, right? Yep. So that kind of, I was like, okay, let's set the creepometer up a little bit more, right, for that part. So yeah, that's all I got.
It's clear Adam has no respect for people that work on these films.
You got
fucking 3 minutes of his precious time.
Oh my gosh!
Always watch past the credits. Always.
Fine. From now on, I shall watch past the
you're
credits.
A liar.
Maybe I'm lying. I don't know. Okay, fine. Well, gentlemen, that's a great bunch of notes and from you guys. But Tim, do you have any trivia on this movie?
Very minimal, but I do.
Okay.
I'm just happy that I get to speak in this episode. Just happy, just happy. All right, so trivia, Butterfly Kisses. The footage for the student film was shot in 1080, but then re-uploaded through filters to create the found footage effect.
Okay.
This goes back to a point that one of you guys made earlier. Oh, Josh, completely shocked that this movie was an hour and a half. Well, the original footage for this film was well over 3 hours.
Wow. Okay.
The final conversion toward the end, where the camera is turned off, was a Frankenstein mashup of unused footage from deleted scenes that may or may not end up in the director's cut.
It's 3-hour directors. Holy cow!
Yeah, but see, that's the thing when it goes to like found footage. The majority of it's scripted and set up, but when you get like dialogue and stuff, it's just people talking to each other and improvising, and that can go on. And hey, try this take, try that take. You know what I mean? Like that's one of the things about found footage. It's very flexible. So 3 hours long. I mean, I know the original Blair Witch was, I think, 13, 14 hours. It was something like, it was that much footage to whittle out to get an hour and a half. The only other piece of footage that I have is the viral marketing campaign for this film was so successful that the Blinkman legend was included in a book of local folk tales called Haunted Ellicott City by Shelley Davies. After the book was published, the director, Eric Christopher Myers, reached out to the author to let her know that he basically made up the legend for the marketing campaign for the film. Despite Meyer's concern that she would be angry, she said, "I thought it was genius." And
I thought it would
that's
have been better if she was angry, because then, as the director, would be like, it's your own fucking fault.
Do your research.
Do your research next time.
yeah. He as it says here, completely concocted the legend as a marketing campaign for the film.
Nice.
Yeah, that's it. Trivia
Nice.
time with Tim.
Trivia time with Tim. Okay. So, with that, everybody, I mean, we've had a good discussion on the movie. Let's get down to the brass tacks, how everybody felt about the movie. Tim, would you like to go first?
so real funny story here. Real funny. See, what had happened was I ran out of time, and I actually didn't get a chance to watch this movie at all.
But you will now, having heard how we feel about it.
Oh yeah,
Not for the review.
No, I'll watch it for pure movie watching enjoyment. Yeah, no, I basically ran out of time, and it got to the point where it was like, hey, we're recording these two movies, so pick one, and I picked the familiar one, which is another review that we're going to record. So I unfortunately I'm going to have to rate this NC for no comment.
No comment from Tim. That's okay. That's okay. But I mean, you still have some good insight, and you'll watch it afterwards anyway, so it's all good. So let's go on over to Aaron.
Don't really have a lot to say. I don't know why I went into it thinking that I may not enjoy it. I think I'm in the same boat with you guys when it comes to found footage films. I think we're all kind of along the same lines when it comes to something like this. It's kind of touch and go. And like I said, the first 5 minutes, I was just like, man, this is going to take a while to get through this, right? But it did keep my attention. I really liked how they went into depth on a bunch of things in this, and they described things, had little hidden gems in there, like the Morse code thing and a few other things. I did understand why they were flicking back and forth from black and white and color and everything like that. But at first it was a little distracting, I found. But don't get me wrong. I actually enjoyed the film. I enjoyed it, and I think I would give it like I'd give it like a PG.
PG.
Yeah.
Nicely said. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll go next. I'll leave Josh for the end. So, when the director reached out to us at first, I mean, I didn't really know what to think, except for, okay, we got something that we can discuss and we can put it on the plate. And when he told me it was a found footage, I stated this at the very beginning of the episode. I went, found footage. Because once again, connotation of what found footage is nowadays, it's dime a dozen and everything else to it. Admittedly, this is fairly unique. This movie does sit among the higher ranking of found footage films, especially the no budget to low budget films. I mean, there are found footage films that are done for massive budgets that are still independent and low budget in comparison to Hollywood flicks that don't do even as well as this movie, actually does. So I like some of the elements of the movie, and I stated this earlier, and I'll state it again. I like the idea of, getting around the lore to make the lore exist, using the camera as your eye, so capturing and staying open for an hour, stuff like that. I did like some of what we seen with the effect at the end. I know it was flash quick, like it was quick flash, but, when you see the tub and the blood and everything, I went, ooh, that's cool, I like the outcome of it. In general, with the fact that, basically you're driven to death by what's going on. I like the whole concocted story and lore behind the actual creature, the character. It is cool. I can see why somebody picked up on it and said, "Ooh, this must be a real local legend," and actually wrote a story on it. As you said, and we said earlier there, Aaron, too, there was a lot. There was in-depth detail into what went into this movie. And even though sometimes it isn't as apparent with the budget of the movie, when you actually pay attention to the story and how Eric and them wrote it, they put some some real thought into how deep this goes. And I feel that there's potential that if you're saying that there's a director's cut of this that's like 3 hours long, it's probably, that it goes deep, 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 and they could only afford to do so much. And if it goes this deep with what we saw, even at an hour and a half, I'm impressed. So it's pretty good. Overall, I went into this going, okay, let's give it a shot. We're going to give it the old camp try, and hopefully we don't disappoint. But once again, my hat goes off to the director, because the moment that we came to him and said, no holds barred, if we don't like it, we're going to shit on it, and he said, that's okay, I can understand why he stood behind his movie. He did something that he was proud of. He openly pushes the movie quite a bit, and people do genuinely tend to like it. And for that, I'm going to have to go with a PG as well. Pretty good. Josh.
Okay. I'm going to be honest. You told me the synopsis of this film. You told me we got to watch it. You told me some guy, reached out to you. I was ready to think this movie sucks. And I'm that guy. I'll tell you when your movie sucks. This movie didn't
What is
suck.
it? What is it you told Nick he was? He was good, but he was a son of a bitch.
Son of a bitch. No, I hate this fucking found footage, and I don't see this as a found footage movie. You guys keep calling it that. This is a pseudo documentary movie, no different than that vampire one. It's about a guy, and I love how layered it is. You don't know if it's real, you don't know if it's fake, you don't know if Gavin killed himself because he got fucking divorced and his shitty movie got found out to be fake. You don't know if the kids made this movie because they're filmmakers, and they already established the fact that they make horror movies, and that's that kind of their jam. You don't know if any of these people are actors or whatever. You never actually get a definitive if the Blinky Man is real. It could just all be made up. And I love that he added all these layers. That's excellent storytelling, in my opinion. I think that at an hour and a half, this movie probably could have been trimmed down to 60 minutes and been better. But
Okay.
honestly, it's a creature feature, which are one of my favorite kind of movies. When I first got into like VR, there was a Slender Man game that I played that scared the shit out of me because you're just there, and then he's all up on you. And this reminded me so much of that. Like this movie is obviously very Slender Man, very Babadook inspired, and has some great imagery. The artist behind whoever worked on that stuff was A1 for this film. I got to give this movie an R. I really like this movie, and if I was ever going to recommend a found footage film, it would be this. Because I can't stand Blair Witch. I can't stand any of the other ones I've seen. This is the first found footage film
Why can't you
that I've ever
stand-
watched.
We'll talk after the show. I want to find out.
It's just stupid.
Okay.
I like this movie. I really did. And I was pleasantly surprised because I went into it ready to bash this poor son of a bitch and tell him that his movie sucked. But I gotta say, I really liked it.
So I will say to kind of put it out there a little bit too. I like what you said about the fact that you like a creature feature and like Slender Man type stuff and Babadook and all that kind of stuff too. I could actually see that if he had ever been given the budget to do an actual full out movie and do an actual movie based on like this character and the lore and it coming after people, he could come up with some pretty creepy shit.
Yeah.
Like, I could see something pretty cool. And I mean, the Slender Man movie itself, even though the Slender Man looked awesome and the effects work was amazing in it, the movie fell really short of the target. But, give somebody a budget and they come up with a lore like this, and if you had like a Babadook style, Slender Man style movie with this creature character into it coming after people, I think he would actually have like a genuinely really good hit on his hands, like something that would compete on high levels.
The movie is good when I'm finished watching it and I'm looking at the props thinking, fuck, that'd be a cool little thing to own.
Yay!
Like that little shoebox. That little shoebox full of tapes, man, that would look some cool on my shelf back there.
I'll reach out to the director and tell him that you're inquiring as to props and let him know that. So
I feel like
I really liked it, honestly.
Yeah, I feel like I got I've judged it a little harshly, but I mean, I got into SPFX because I enjoyed seeing all that kind of thing in a movie. And this is not my kind of movie, but I did enjoy it, and I want to make sure to get that across as well, right? I got into
Yeah.
movie effects and making monsters and things like that because I enjoy seeing that stuff on set. This was
Right.
a totally different way of looking at it, and I don't try and throw it into the garbage or anything, but I just wanted to get that point across too, right? That it was a different look at things.
Very minimal on effects.
Yeah,
Very minimal.
yeah, very, very.
It
Yeah.
could have done with a couple more good jump scare shots
Yeah.
I
of
agree.
the monster.
Yeah.
Well, let's be clear about this. When me and Aaron rate this pretty good, we would watch it again, and the movie is
Yeah.
pretty good. It's not that when somebody comes to me and says I need a found footage film, this is not going to be the first one that I recommend. But
See,
if
it
they
is
get
true.
but if they get through like a list of my found footage favorites like Wreck and Blair Witch and stuff like this would probably end up on that list of something that I'd recommend to people, because even I would sit down and watch this another time. So, you know what? Good job. And thank you very much. I'm just going to throw this out there. Thank you very much again, Eric, for coming to us and saying, please watch the movie and tell me what you think, and tell your fans what you think, because it does take balls basically for somebody to come and put themselves out there. And if you can take the criticism like a champ, I'm all for it. I got to give you some praise on that. So, you know what? Thumbs up to you on that. So, that being said, thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. This has been a great episode and a good discussion on this. And, once again, check us out on Misunderstood Art Company on Facebook. Like and subscribe to that. We're also on YouTube, Misunderstood Art Company. Like, subscribe, share, tell everybody about us. We produce new content every week, usually on Fridays it releases. We have some really cool stuff coming up here that you guys should definitely pay attention to, because it's going to be really cool stuff. And we release all of these episodes in audio format on podcast channels, such as, but not limited to, Google Play, iTunes, and Spotify. We're also on Patreon, so open up your hearts and your wallets. And until
almost
next
missed it.
time. You almost missed it, but you got it, Tim.
I did.
Until next time. Josh.
Don't blink.
Aaron.
For crying out loud, if you go and order yourself a beer, check it for bugs before you drink it.
And Tim.
Stay spooky, everybody.
Perfect. See you next time, everybody.
Good night. Headphones are falling off.